Good morning. I am a professional fact checker, so I will be signing autographs in the lobby after I speak. It is great to be with you. My day job is to be a fact checker at PolitiFact. That's the largest political fact checking website in the United States, and we are 10 people. The scale at which misinformation moves and exists puts us in a difficult spot. And it's why I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit about MediaWise and some of the work we're doing there in coordination and collaboration with Joel and Sam. MediaWise started about a year ago, so this is our second school year. And the idea really behind it was to get to as many middle and high school students as possible. So while Joel and Sam were developing the curriculum that you saw and we discussed, we're working on ways together to kind of reach new and larger audiences. For us, the 2016 election in the United States was kind of defining and a watershed moment for us. It made us realize, not that misinformation exists, we knew that since the spoken word, people have shared lies and falsehoods, but the speed at which this misinformation can be shared. Also, the research that Sam talked about showed that with teenagers and young audiences specifically, we have a major problem. By the way, this is Destin Sandlin, who you'll see later today. He's an ambassador on the MediaWise project with us. So Stanford is doing what they do best, and they're developing an excellent curriculum. I'm part of the Poynter Institute, a group that trains journalists around the world. And we were thinking about what could we do, how could we promote the work that they're doing. And for us, the answer was, let's go to where teens and young audiences are. So the SHEG group is going to develop an excellent curriculum that will go into schools. How can we work outside of schools? And so we came up with basically a couple of concepts. The first is to work with teens directly to teach them to be fact checkers like myself, to create an army of students around the world every day who will debunk misinformation, who will vet photos and images to figure out if they're true, and then publish those stories back within their schools and through a network of fact-checking labyrinth, the web, that we have. Second was to work with YouTube influencers. And so Joel mentioned John Green, who wrote Fault in Our Stars and also has an excellent crash course series. And he was one of the partners that we worked with. Here's a video, just a little taste of what we're doing with him.
And because we use information for all kinds of decisions, misinformation and disinformation are really powerful. This is true for small, everyday decisions. Restaurant reviews affect where we eat, and for much larger issues like choosing a college to attend or a place to work. The quality of our information directly shapes the quality of our decisions, and the quality of our decisions, of course, shapes the quality of our shared experience as humans.
Now, again, we train professional journalists on a daily basis. I am myself a professional journalist. I would not consider myself a media literacy expert, nor would I consider myself a good teacher, per se, of young people. And so I think one of the challenges that we faced early on was working with young people, young middle and high schoolers who are trying to do fact-checking or fact-checking reports in between classes and tests and after school and extracurricular activities. It took us a while, especially as we're working remotely across the country. These are two of the posts that our folks, our kids, helped put together. I think the other thing, and we talked about this in kind of the collaboration space in the earlier panel, for us, we're a very small group, and so sometimes saying no is very hard. Media literacy is certainly a hot topic. A lot of people are a lot more interested in it today than they were 2 years ago, and probably a lot more interested in it 2 years ago than they were 5 years ago. And that's bringing a lot of people to our doorsteps. And with a staff of 4, you want to say yes to everybody, but it's often, I think, probably better to say, that's a great idea. We need to focus on what we can focus on. So we've built this nationwide network of teenage fact checkers who are sharing tips and stories daily. These are a couple of examples of the work they're doing. We specifically did not try to invest in creating our own channel or our own brand. There is no MediaWise.com, for instance. What we decided to do is, again, take our reports and our work directly to where students and young people get their information. Primarily for us, that's Instagram in the United States. We also use YouTube and Twitter as well. These students are posting a story basically daily. Our last group, our summer group of about 40 students just finished, and we just kind of welcomed our next cohort of about, I think it's going to be between 60 and 75 students who are going to work with our team of editors in St. Petersburg, Florida. They're going to identify and find pieces of information that they think is something that we should check, and then they're going to go through the fact-checking process to kind of open up those tabs, read laterally, and figure out what the source of the information is and who's ultimately behind it. So the impact, I think we've done a lot in just a little bit of time. The YouTube influencers piece has been excellent. Destin will probably talk a little bit more about his work there. We've also gone all over the country, training schools and teachers and students. We're seeing a lot of interest in this work. I do think that one of the things that we should all be thinking about and considering is how do we get past and beyond that ultimate, that first bit of, oh, we feel really good. We just trained 300 kids in a class in Detroit. But how do we kind of keep those lessons going and keep them thinking about this? And so, as I think Masato said, after a week, that they still remember what we're talking. The future for us. So, I mean, can I talk about anything other than the next election? So, we're going to have another election in a year. And I think it's a really interesting opportunity to see how can we leverage the work and trainings that we're doing to influence and help first-time voters. So this parallels really nicely. We're training and teaching high school students who might, for the first time in the United States next November, vote for president. We want them to have the right and correct information to make the decision that is best for them. We also are very interested in thinking about this program everywhere we go. People talk to us about how can you do this for older audiences. And I think that's very interesting. And obviously, in the United States, trying to think about expanding this to Spanish makes a lot of sense. They asked me to close with a piece of advice. I'm sorry, friends at Google, this is stolen from your friends in Menlo Park at Facebook. This is on my wall. It's the fail harder kind of poster. I think if we get set in our ways too much or too frequently, I think that's a bad idea. We need to be able to innovate and kind of drop what we're doing and being able to reconsider how we can make the biggest impact. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you.